What's up, everybody? Today we're going to be finishing my Mandalorian helmet. Now, I've had this thing sitting in my garage for, I don't know, 2 years. I've moved twice since I printed this thing. This was actually printed on a CRS Pro or CRS 10 Pro V2. It was my first 3D printer I got as far as PLA printing, and yeah, it's just been sitting ever since. I don't know why I didn't finish it. Why? I don't know. But we're going to go ahead and finish this guy up. All right, so the first things first is when I was originally sanding this down, I actually made a dent in it from an orbital sander. I'm hoping that I can patch that up. And then what we're going to do is completely sand the rest of this helmet down. This primer is like cracked. I didn't let it sit long enough. I'm not really sure what was going on here. I don't plan on making it wearable. I mean, I could. There is some stringing on the inside, but I'm not too worried about that. Just overall looking at this thing, I know it has a layer of Bondo on it, and then also again like that filler primer, but I'm not sure like how smooth it will be once I actually sand it down. So first things first, I'm gonna try to fill this like head gap with some filler, and then I don't know, we'll go from there. You can pick this up at any Home Depot. This is what we're using. I think they sell it at like Walmart and stuff. I actually was using it for my baby who's on the way to their nursery at first to patch a project. So I just had it around the house. So look, we can go like that. I think it's looking pretty good, pretty solid as long as it dries like that, right? I know people use this with acetone as well to patch a lot of their projects, so I was figuring it would work. I might go a little heavier just to make sure here. But that's all it's looking like. Pretty simple, straightforward. We're gonna let this dry, and then we're gonna go ahead and sand the thing down.
Okay, so I had originally recorded this in my garage, like using my microphone, but it was so noisy. I had a printer going. But regardless, I went to go sand this down after leaving it overnight, and I realized that the ear pieces had some pretty like heavy layer lines in there. So I wanted to go ahead, put this wood filler in there, and I didn't print these separate, right? This is an older style Mandalorian helmet. It's not the new ones where all these parts are detachable. This was printed in one piece, guys. Like this was printed in like 2020 or something like that. 2021. I don't know. It's a really old helmet. Actually, it's probably 3 years old at this point. But so you can see here, I go ahead and fill those before we go ahead and get to sanding. All right, so for the next part, the initial sanding, we whip out what's called the foot sander. So if you haven't seen this before, it is legitimately a foot sander. So I've seen this on a few YouTube channels and also in like the Droid Division Facebook group. It's like a 60 or like an 80 grit sandpaper that's on the end of this thing. And it's really good because you can go as fast as you want with this thing without like the danger of burning holes in it. Like an orbital sander will sometimes get so warm that it burns the plastic or melts the PLA again, so it makes that dent like I originally had, right? So you can really go all the way around this thing. It really helps for this first initial layer, and that's what I'm doing here, just sanding away my sole, right? And actually my hands started to hurt sanding with this thing if you don't hold it a certain way, but you can see it's working pretty good, right? It's scuffing this stuff up. So we're gonna go ahead and get this done. Here what we're doing is we're making like a wood filler acetone mixture similar to what we do with Bondo normally. Right after covering it, this is what we're left with. We're right back to the foot sander. We got to knock down all of this wood filler that I just put all over this thing. And overall, I think it worked pretty good for the most part. It sands real easily. Everything's coming off. I didn't have anything that really gave me a lot of trouble using the wood filler. Even in like the little crevices, I go back through and hand sand it. Like you can see here, right? I'm just using one of those sanding discs that normally used with a orbital sander. I don't know. This is what I had. I'm not going out and buying stuff if I don't need it, right? I'm all about doing it the cheap way. I mean, I still have sandpaper left over from my battle droid. I mean, that's what we're going to end up doing. Just sanding, a little more sanding, right? Like, it's crazy that pretty much to build a quality Mandalorian helmet, it just comes down to sanding. That's all it's going to come down to. Is your sanding good enough? I mean, you do have a lot, and I can tell that, like, after finishing this thing, A lot does also come down to your print quality, but you know what? You got to deal with what you got, and I already had this printed, so I'm just rolling with it, right? One thing though that gets lost a lot is these lines. I think if you're spraying with like filler primer, you're really trying to fill in all these lines. These lines on the top for the Mandalorian get filled in. So what I'm doing here is I'm actually taking a flathead and just kind of carving out where there might have been some primer filled in from before. Maybe some Bondo got in there. Maybe even some of this dust from me sanding all these other pieces is in there. I don't know. So I'm just trying to clear it out so that way the next like paint round that I do, it doesn't just completely clog up those lines and take away those details. One thing I did actually pick up for this build is like this rubber sanding block just to give me a better grip. Honestly, it didn't really help too much. I'll leave the link down below, just like everything I'm using. I'll have Amazon affiliate links if you want to help with the channel. You don't have to use them. They're just there for your convenience, and helps me out a little bit. But I mean, talking about the sanding block, it was just too big. I think I need to pick up a smaller one just to get a little easier grip. I mean, I don't know. I honestly, when I'm like hand sanding with the sandpaper with this like, I don't know, the circularity, is that how you say it, of the dome, this block wasn't necessarily ideal. It doesn't really flex to like what I was doing. But with that being said, we are doing a 180 grit sandpaper and then a 400 grit sandpaper, and then our foot sander was like a 60 or 80, right, along with that orbital sanding disc, which was an 80. So just a lot of sanding, just trying to get this like as smooth as possible. Here you can see me feeling around on the helmet. What I'm doing is I'm looking for any like rough patches that I might have missed. And then what I can do is then I can go back and just hand sand them. So like a lot of that wood filler, it feels rough, or I don't know, it just has a different feeling. All right, so here I'm just wiping down the helmet with a wet paper towel. I want to get all the dust and any of like the particles off before I head and go ahead and hit the paint with it. Because I'm actually just going to go straight into the high gloss black paint, and it's going to show everything. So really what I want to do is wipe this down. It kind of looks like a commando or like an army styled, like, I don't know, a camouflage helmet at this point, right? Like, you could tell this thing's been through a lot. You could tell I took it with me through 2 moves. Here's just a closer look at the helmet and what it's looking like before we go ahead and hit it with some paint. Here, I'm building a base that I actually 3D printed so I can make it easier to spray paint. This is actually a file that was recently made by it's like Studio of MM. I always forget her name, but she's here on YouTube. She's making a ton of props and stuff, and she actually came out with these free files, free for a modular like head stand or like helmet stand. So I'm actually going to use it to paint this because I don't really have a good way to hold it. All right, so one thing about me is I'm actually extremely impatient. So that results in my painting not being as good as it should be on the first try. So here's me just kind of putting that high gloss black paint. I can already tell you that I end up having some heavy globs on this because I'm going at it heavy, right? I should be doing like one spray, move around, one spray, move around, just light coating. But I just go heavy handed every time I use the spray paint. I don't know what it is. That's just my tendency. I don't know. So here it is. I'm putting on that high gloss paint just to see what imperfections that I need to go back and sand. Here's what the result of that painting was. In between, it's really hard to see. There is some cracking, or like not some cracking, like some scratches. And then you can also see like where I went really heavy handed up there by like the visor area. Ah, man. So this is where I'm going to have to resand some of it. But I was curious what the color of the graphite powder would actually look like. And I thought it looked amazing here. Like, this is one of the first times I was building something and I started nerding out like instantly. But that was short-lived, and then what I had to do was go right back at it with the foot sander. This is the area where there was a lot of like scratching, so I wanted to get in there and really make sure I got down to that base coat of paint that I had originally done a couple of years ago, right? I wanted to make sure that I was really getting in there to remove the layer line. So I spent a lot of time hand sanding these front areas and practically resanding the whole front of the helmet, because yes, it did look good and it looks good on camera, but when you were in person, you could really see all of those scratches. So I wanted to make sure I got those fixed up. This is what we were left with after all the sanding. Hit it with the paper towel again so that way we can do another coat of paint. When I say I'm impatient, I never learn my lesson here because in this clip, what ends up happening is I overspray again. And you can see me, like, even there, I'm using my fingers. Like, what am I doing? Oh, yeah. Actually, that wasn't overspray. That was dirt that I placed the head on my little table that I have dedicated for painting here. But even on this face, I just keep hitting it so hard, and then it's overspray. See, now I'm using my finger. Oh my gosh, what am I doing? I don't know. But I never learned my lesson. Learn from my mistakes, guys. I don't know. Like I said, I'm impatient. Now we're moving on to the fun part where we can really see the Mandalorian come alive. So we take the graphite powder and we have like these cotton swabs that I stole from my wife. Don't tell her. Shh. And then we just rub it all around this guy. Now, again, don't do what I did. And on the right hand side of this ear, the paint was still wet. And the cotton swab stuck to it and got cotton all over the helmet. It's still there even when the helmet is finished. But you know what? We're going to deal with it. We're going to leave it. I am not worrying about it. When it's on display, you can't really see it because it's on the side. But make sure this stuff is dry, guys. Like, I moved way too fast. And then also you can see on the top dome here, why is it like so rippled? I don't know. I'm going to have to do another one of these in the future because there was nothing I could do to fix that. I think it was just the original print. But you can see this thing is really starting to shape up. So after I wiped off all the excess graphite powder, what I wanted to do is I wanted to take measurements for the mask. I actually bought like some sort of welding mask replacement on Amazon. Again, links down below. And I did this wonderful tracing job. I don't know what I was thinking here. I didn't even cut down the mask to where it should be. So take this also. If you're doing your own Mandalorian, the mask, please cut it down as little as possible because I end up burning myself later. I'll show you. I don't know if I have the actual clip, but I did not even cut it. I don't know why I didn't cut it, but look at this magnificent drawing. Wonderful. So this is the last form of painting that we have to do on this thing. We're actually hitting it with some 2K clear coat. Now, the downside to using the 2K clear coat is that you can only use it once. So you use it, and then the whole thing has to be used within 48 hours. Otherwise, it's no good. So I don't even know how I'm going to dispose of this paint can because if it's not empty, I don't know what to do. Yeah, I guess that's my problem. Maybe I can still shoot it out into a box or something and then recycle it. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, you hit it with this. This is one of the only ones that I could find online that people said, or I bought this like years ago, and it was one of the recommended that actually work with graphite powder. I don't know what it was. I don't know. And you can hear I'm trying to sand and fix that cotton issue, and it's just not working. I end up eventually just spray painting this black, putting graphite powder on it again, and then clear coating it. I don't know what I was doing, honestly. But with that being said, going back to the 2K, it's one of the only 2Ks that actually work with the graphite powder, I guess. I don't know. I bought this also as well like 2 or 3 years ago, and it was actually past the manufacturing date. So I got lucky that this thing is actually working, and it worked fantastic. Like, this stuff was like almost impossible to overspray, and it was going on nice and thick. I have no complaints about using this. I'll see if I can find the link for this and put it down below as well. A lot of the instructions weren't in English on the bottle or the can, so it did take a little bit of like, I interpreted the instructions, and it ended up working out. It actually came out really nice with this clear coat. But again, if you can't find like a 2K, or you don't want to use the 2K because it's like that one-time use type can, I've seen a lot of people use the 1Ks. There's a lot of examples here on YouTube. I don't even remember where I got the suggestion for this 2K, but I think it came out really nice. So here is the final step once the clear coat is actually dried and I was able to touch it. You can see there that the shield part, I already cut it and it was just too big, right? Guys, cut yours thinner. It'll fit in this space a lot easier. I was struggling to get it up against, and then I made fingerprints there, which actually eventually went away. You could actually wipe them off because the clear coat was already dried, but guys, I was struggling with this thing to get it close, and get it flush with the outside because it wasn't cut down properly. And then I ended up struggling with the hot glue gun, everything. Just cut yours down to size. Don't be like me. Don't struggle through this portion that you shouldn't even have to struggle with. Just cut it down to size. So here is a final look at the helmet. It has a weird golf ball effect on it, but I don't know how that happened. But yeah, I think it turned out pretty good for what it is in an old print.
If you guys made it this far in the video, I truly appreciate you for watching. This helmet was built in a day. I woke up really early this morning. It's Saturday, and we got it done. So obviously there's still some stuff you can tell hey, this was done in one day. But overall, I think it came out pretty good for being just an old print that I had in my garage. I'm completely satisfied. I'm going to put this on display in my office now until I make a new one that doesn't have this golf ball pattern for whatever reason. Anyway, I printed this on a CRS 10 Pro V2 or whatever they were called. But getting into other things, I just want to say thank you guys for watching. When I started posting videos a little bit over a month ago, I was at 440 subscribers, and now we're well over 1,500, which is insane to me. A lot of interest in the Battle Droid project, as well as doing Mandalorian helmets and the Super Battle Droid I have coming. I really appreciate everyone for watching. So with that being said, once we hit another milestone, I don't know if I want to do it at 2,500 or 3,000 or 5,000, whatever it is. I want to actually make a project and then give it away to you guys. I don't want to be giving away 3D printers with unrealistic goals as well. I want to build something in a video and then have everyone be able to enter the giveaway. Nothing needed. You don't got to pay for anything. As long as you're just subscribed, you can win that giveaway. I think it'd be really cool if I did some sort of helmet or maybe a smaller droid build. I think would be really cool, right? And then at least you're getting something unique in a collection that maybe you typically wouldn't own or something. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think of that. Again, I don't know. I just don't find the appeal in just giving away some PLA. It's like a one and done. The person uses their PLA, they never have anything to show for it. So if you guys like that idea, again, let me know. Hit that subscribe button, and comment down below as well. Help that algorithm. I appreciate you again for watching. And this is the way.